because the Japanese army were trying to cut their way through Shanghai, and my dad's hometown is like right in the way.
So today is September 18th, and in Chinese history, in 1931, September 18 was the day that Japan actually started their invasion of aggression, and countless war crimes were done since that time. This history, at least for me growing up in Australia, was never taught. And I think still to this day, there's a real hole in terms of the history books when it comes to the West. So I wanted to ask you about your experience about it.
Oh, that's a very good question, because in the English, especially in the English language media, in the US dominated media landscape, the focus on World War II history is on Europe.
Yes.
And so very few people know about the Asia theater except as Pacific War between US and Japan. But actually, this is a pivotal event for many people in East Asia, not just China, but also Korea, Southeast Asia. Many countries have suffered under the boot of Japanese aggression and colonialism. And 1931 is the date that started for China. So in the West, we're taught the World War II started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. But for China, the war actually started on September 18th, 1931, when Japan launched the so-called Mukden incident to seize the control of Manchuria. And I actually have a personal story to share. So my dad's hometown is about 45 minutes south of here in Haining, Zhejiang, halfway between Shanghai and Hangzhou. So in 1937, one of the biggest battles in East Asia was raging here in Shanghai. It's the 1937 Battle of Shanghai, and the Japanese, they thought they could seize China within 3 months. But the 700,000 Chinese defenders hold them off here in Shanghai. And after 3 months, the Japanese realized they're not making any progress, so they decided to do a flanking maneuver to cut off the reinforcement coming to Shanghai. The Japanese Imperial Navy then did a landing in the Bay of Hangzhou, just south of Shanghai, and that where they landed was my hometown, my dad's hometown. So I'm getting a little emotional. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
So I was. So I traveled to my dad's hometown 2019. So I noticed all the Buddhist temples were built recently in 1980s. And at that time, I just naturally assumed, okay, this might be, maybe they were destroyed in Cultural Revolution and rebuilt afterwards. So I asked my dad. My dad's like, no, they were destroyed in the 1930s when the Japanese came. And so, because the Japanese army were trying to cut their way through Shanghai, and my dad's hometown is like right in the way. Sorry, excuse me.
No, take your time.
So the whole town was level. It was nothing remained. The whole everybody, my grandma, she was pregnant with my second oldest uncle. So he had to drag my 5-year-old uncle, my oldest uncle, and while she was pregnant, she has to escape to the countryside. But the whole town was destroyed, firebombed, and this is why when I went back, the temples were only rebuilt in the 1980s, because after the war. Then was the Chinese Civil War, and people just didn't have a chance to rebuild. So my grandparents lived through the Japanese occupation, and my grandpa was a Chinese doctor. He has his clinic. So the town was rebuilt. After the Battle of Shanghai, the town was rebuilt. People are returning to their life, but the Japanese will post sentries, checkpoints around around the town because the old Chinese cities, they will have like city walls around the town so that to check everyone, and they require all the passerbys to salute to the Japanese soldier. And my grandpa, he doesn't want to do it. He just pretend he didn't hear, but he would stop. And to punish him for his transgression, the Japanese soldier slapped him across the face in front of everyone. It's to set an example. And so my grandpa was actually very upset about that. So he, after that, he joined the underground resistance group. And so that's my family history. But this is my grandpa. And then my dad was born in July 1945, 1 month before the Japanese surrender. And in August, everybody suddenly the rumors spread around town that the Japanese army are coming again. And there was widespread panic because they remember what happened last time the Japanese were in town. So everyone decided to evacuate again. But at that time, my grandma just had my dad, who was 1 month-old baby. And because the baby would cry and make a lot of noise, people were telling my grandma to abandon the baby so don't attract attention to the group that was trying to hide. And thankfully, my grandma refused. She refused to give up on my dad. And it turns out the Japanese army was coming to town, but they were coming to town to board the train to head to Hangzhou for surrender, for the Japanese surrender. So that is my personal family history.
Thank you, Carl, for sharing. I really, really appreciate your openness and your vulnerability.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹饪。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧！偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹饪。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧！